Dear students, let's continue with the story writing concept, which I want to clarify some more doubts. There are many people of you who go by SR approach, and we want you to come up with SOR approach. Now, what do you mean by SR approach? Many of you, when you take learning from YouTube or from other coaching material, you go by SR approach, and we want you to SOR approach. What is SR approach? For example, you're shown an accident picture and you directly show that Ravi saw or X saw an accident, so X immediately rushed, did this, did that, everything you write. Unfortunately, the psychologist is looking at why your character thought, why your character did, what did he think, how did he process. Something he wants to get an idea. Your compassion, your concern, your emotion, because after all, any action has a triggering response, a triggering emotion. So if you will not reveal it, how will psychologists get it on paper? And if psychologists will not get it on the paper, then how will it be able to mark you on paper and identify what is the emotion that governs you? What are the thoughts that governs your behavior? If you will directly rush from situation to action. You've seen an accident, what happens? You realize that this accident has been head on and probably the person must have been injured. So you concernfully rush to that spot, and thereafter you identify that this has happened. So you decide that they should give this, and they do this. Then you realize that furthermore they can take him to the hospital. Now that has to be a step by step or directly. Where is the emotions? If you don't write, how do you expect it that psychologists will identify your emotions? There many times a person is asking, what do you like? My father likes this. What do you like? My mother likes this. Come on, man, I'm not interested in what your father likes or mother likes. I'm asking about you. Tell about you. If you're copying stories from somewhere and not relating what it is, unfortunately, you are spoiling your chance. How can you copy without upper story? I remember of a wonderful story of a teacher telling that there was a boy, he had written that this question, page number 74, Kamal Prakashan Agra or XYZ publication so and so, page number 24, and then the answer. Isn't it evident that the person is copying from book directly? Everything in detail. So when a thinking person learns from observation, assimilates it. But if a cheater learns from observation, he just copies it without understanding it. So what is more stable? Assimilated lesson or a copied lesson? Assimilated, which you understand. So SOR thing, you have to understand this very clearly. When you rush in the story, there was a character, he saw an accident and he did this, he went there. Come on, man, why did you take him to the hospital? Was it necessary? Why didn't you write? But when you copy stories and ideas from others and you want to write it, like physics, chemistry, biology, what happens? You're not able to relate, you're not able to visualize, you're just writing. Don't do that mistake. If you want your psychology test to be evaluated as original personality of yours, don't do that mistake. Clear? Not clear? Doubts? Now let me tell you one story. X was allotted to aware the villages on importance of sanitation. Situation given. He realized that the best method to effectively... Now here the character is getting involved in the picture. Getting involved through emotion, through thinking. Yes or no? Or has he started off? He is thinking. He's thinking, he's talking, he's relating what he's doing. So automatically what is happening? A psychologist is able to understand, okay, this is happening. Yes or no? He realized that the best method to effectively communicate can be via examples and presentation in form of drama. Now a logical thought has come up. Then X also realized that the story needs to be communicated in local language, practical application, effective intelligence. You go and tell the villagers with English placard board, keep neat. Does it help? It doesn't. Maybe many villagers are not literate enough to read the boards also. So on ground application, you will have to talk, you will have to explain, yes or no. So that is what this gentleman is doing. In his proactive thought, how to do it, he is relating, planning and thinking, and thus creating a strong, complete bridge and reflecting on O, the object which the psychologist wants to determine. When we show you word and we tell you to write a sentence, we are not looking at the word or at the sentence, we are looking at the thought which has come in between, and the thought is you. So we are interested in you, object. We are not interested in the word. But in your response, if there is no information about you, for example, many a time people use word and they write proverbs. They write old saying. They write statement by Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Subhash Chandra Bose. What are they doing? They are not reflecting themselves. So what happens? Zero. Zero evaluation. Minimum marks. We want to know you. Why don't you understand the difference between a writing test and a psychology test? Identify it and you will do well. I know a number of people have walked in to teach, but 30 years of teaching regularly and ensuring results of good rank has always been to penetrate your mind, to enrich your soul, to enrich your thought, to enrich your confidence, to enrich your experience, to enrich your intelligence. I am not super intelligent, but by my ideas, you will get more ideas. And you will process them to more better ideas. So finally, who will be richer? You. It is not my ideas are going to be best. No. When you will process it, you will make it better. And probably the best. So we want you to process. Don't listen to me like you have come here to attend a show of some Dharm Guru or something. No, I am not. I am a mentor who can help you to become rich in your thought process, rich in your practical knowledge, rich in your practical application, rich in your self-confidence. Do that. Don't gape at me like a monkey does to any kind of chimpanzee sitting in between. Okay, got it, not got it. So now you've said X also realized that the story needs to be communicated in local language to be well received by the villagers. To facilitate message strongly via the drama, X added funny elements to the story. Fine. As desired, X and his team was able to give a wonderful performance and connect well with the villagers, and thus applicably send the message across, which had a huge impact on their day-to-day behavior in times ahead, and they realized how they can be healthy for a longer period of time. They became aware and they started telling the children. See, your processing area and your action area. Some people who learn stories from outside, they enrich their actions, the processor is gone. It's like a printout coming out without understanding what was the software. Is it clear? Now when this type of story comes in, what are we able to depict? That the person is effective in intelligence, is able to understand the practical application, is a person with good thought process, is responsible to do the work properly, do it. There are some people who are given a job, they just do it, done. There are some people who take interest in doing the job. Take interest in thought process. We want that from you. You want you to apply in that story. Is it clear? So got the story's message. So this way you are supposed to write. It's not X as a character. You can write any number, any name, any one for that matter. It depends totally on your choice. I'm just making you rich in your understanding of story writing. When you will personally do a lot of tests here, we can help you evaluate more. That's different. But general understanding is open to all. We are already on the retirement mode. Lamiltar Academy is planning to change guards, new officers to walk in, new people to help in. But along with it, in the process, whatever my 30 years odd experience is there, I want to share with you. Now, why am I doing it? Is it because of what is to be done and evaluated? Simple common sense, my dear friends, simple common sense. We want to know about your thinking process. We want to know how wisely you use your thinking process, what behavior you have, because behavior is an end product of your thought. So if you don't write your thought properly, your emotion, the way you approach a thing, how will I come to know what kind of personality you are? Somebody came to someone's place, you just said, now that gentleman, in spite of your best action, may not be able to understand what have you done. But in that same place, if you add it with words and express your feelings, with due consideration to that gentleman, it's better. You've seen that it's a young fellow, nice to see you, please sit down. And then you say that, okay, please have this. Right, you must be coming from so-and-so place, have some cold water, whatever it is, and have this, yes or no. So it will show your feeling. And in case there is a deviation, that there is a person whose old person is there, and you realize he is saying, I am a sugar patient. In that case, will you say, no, take the sweets. You will get something else. Maybe he doesn't want to have water, he wants to have tea, then you'll do that. So the thought process of imagination is your power of imagination, is your power of thinking, is your power of personality. But if you don't express it, how will a psychologist come to know of it? A stitch is necessary. Stimulus, response, but an object, a thinker who bridges that thing to this is important. Clear? Okay. Now we go down to story number 2. X saw that few nefarious elements were active in the neighborhood and often they troubled the neighbors who were old people. The goons were threatening the old people to sell their house to them on throwaway prices. Right, now this is a situation which is written clearly. X decided to get them caught by the police. Now this is a thought process, he is identified. So one day when they arrived in the jeep and went inside the house of the neighbor, X called the police. However, realizing that by the time the police comes, they may run away. So he thought what to do, and he decided to puncture the tires of their vehicle so that they are not able to run away. And thus the nefarious elements were not able to escape, and the police arrived and caught them and put them to justice and saved the old people. Now this story, what has it done? What has it done? It has talked about the characters. It has talked that he is concerned about the old people. And then what has he talked? That he thinks what to do for them. Then he uses on the spot innovations like puncturing the tire so that they don't get trapped, a deep thought, and finally the end product is positive end of the story. Every story should be positive. Why? Because you are not here to multiply the trouble. You are here to solve the problem. That is why you are being selected as an officer and a leader. We have enough people who can multiply troubles. There are some people who are just trouble creators only. Clear, not clear? So let's go by that. One more story can help you. I'll try to give you that at least 3, 4, 5 stories so you will understand it. SOR approach. Now in that also again, by using the puncture type, what has he done? Effective intelligence. Jugaad. You can't take a gun and stand in front of them or challenge them. Nefarious element already guarded. Smart working. Practical working. Many people think that the army officers are buffoons who will go and stand in the border and say, kill all of us, and who the last will be surviving, will be the victorious. What silly things. No. They use intelligence for warfare. Anyway, let's go there. X was a manager newly posted to a factory. And unfortunately, the factory was facing a crisis as the laborers went on a strike. He realized that it was a lucrative order which would suffer. The laborers wanted bonus and the factory owner was not having funds. And there is a lucrative order. So now he does reasoning ability. Of course, effective intelligence is also there. Good managerial is also there. Good decision making is also there. But good reasoning is also there. So what does he do? X realized that if laborers could fulfill the order, they would be able to utilize the profit to pay the bonus. So he approached the factory owner with his thought, and their approval, he presented this proposal to the laborers, who naturally agreed to call off the strike and decided to come back to the work and complete the order. And by what they got in the order, they gave the bonuses. Thus the problem was solved. And as a manager, he did his responsibility well and he was well appreciated. What's wrong? You should give your 100%. But in many places you find this, and this can be this. So why not we do this? This kind of things happen in life, right? So thinking process is coming. Solution finding is coming. Identification of problem and putting them together is coming. So that's it. So look at the way he is writing the story. Now this is what I don't want you to copy these stories and write. I want you to think like this in different things. This problem can be related to power. This can be problem related to shortage of funds for labor. Then he himself came forward. N number of solutions are possible. But trigger your thought process. And remember, the beauty of the thought process, when it is triggered in a competent way, it remains forever triggered till the last breath. Till the very last breath. Such is the beauty of intelligence. Human mind loves to solve the problem by their own because they know that their self-dependence is the key to their success. But the human mind is afraid of taking decisions because they are afraid of the failures. But moment they gain confidence of reasonable level of performance in themselves and are able to think, they suddenly use that thinking process like a skyscraper. They become Burj Khalifa in their own ways. Is it clear or not clear? So remember this. Now we come down to one more, I'll tell you. X was a cashier, and in withdrawing a good amount to pay the salary of all the people as he was about to leave the bank, he saw that there were youths watching him, half hiding behind the wall outside the main gate. Now if something happens wrongly, what are you supposed to do? Only intelligent people will observe and try to correlate. Idiots will carry on. Alert mind always learns. So X realized that it could be a source of serious trouble. So he thought and decided to go to the bank's manager's office and quietly kept the cash after sharing his observation with the manager. कि भाई ऐसा ऐसा मुझे लग रहा है. This is what is happening. Then he decided to check if they are miscreants. So he decided that he will go with the bag outside, empty bag now, stacked with newspaper. And as luck would have it, they tried to snatch it. But now the bank authorities, the security guard, everybody were alert. They caught hold of the miscreants. Plus, the cash was already secure in the bank. So they were able to save the cash, catch hold of the miscreants, hand them over to the police, and later, with proper security, take the cash to the factory and pay the salary of everyone. How simple a story, but beautiful imagination how to solve. And what was the picture which was shown to this person? Somebody standing in the bank and some people hiding and watching. You getting the point? Your imagination power is itself a genius. Actually, your imagination power is the officer behind you, rather officer inside you. So develop your imagination power. Is it clear? Yes or no? So do that. Got the point of writing, how to write a story? Or you still have issues? You'll be able to write a story now? So you should write on few situations. I'll be sending you PDF and I'll also be sending you other things. Write on it and then come back to us. Is it clear? Now one thing more. Done? Is it clear to all of you? Any questions related to story if anyone has? I'll give you a situation. There is a man crying and the other is consoling. Whom would you like to be the hero as per the rule which we taught you of a driver or a conductor or a driver or a passenger? Exactly. Understood, not understood? Clear, not clear? So it can be. In case there is a person scolding another person, whom would you like to be the hero as per the driver conductor story or driver passenger story? Who is? Listening. Okay. Can be. And one who's scolding can also be. In this case, both can be drivers in their own ways, but in different position. One is scolding for the betterment and explaining. See, always scold a person, but explain him why. And help him thereafter. That is the best way to solve problem. Right. And whoever gets scolded should understand the intention of the other person. Scoldings are rare in today's world of diplomacy and hypocrisy. If scolding is coming, you can understand that it is a concern, it is affection, it is care. But the intention has to be picked up. Some people are deceiving that I scold you because I am concerned for you, but all the time they are killing the confidence of others. Now that is extreme. But generally, if the scolding is coming from someone, it has to be good. So suppose a physics teacher scolded me and improved my physics and I want to write a story on that, then I can say that so and so was studying and he did a mistake, so his teacher scolded him. But he realized that small error was going to cost him. He thanked his teacher and thereafter he was very, very watchful. And he practiced it again and again. So when he gave the next test, his teacher applauded him. And later on in the boards, he went and got good marks. Can I write? What's wrong? The physics teacher who was always loving his students. So whenever a student did mistake, he always scolded them. But also later on made them sit and explained how their good performance is going to be important for the career. So also explained what the mistake was and how those small mistakes could be a big problem. He explained that how a poor foundation can bring the whole building down, though the building can be as huge as Burj Khalifa. So foundation has to be taken care of. So explained the formulas and made everything clear, crystal clear. Thus the student was able to perform well. You can write. Both the angles are possible. So now you will say, sir, you only taught driver, conductor, driver, passenger. What about this? This is two drivers, differently positioned. Anything can happen, dear friends. Anything. But your intelligence should be in position. You should always create a prominent character who is strong enough to correct and direct and correct, not a helpless person. There is a boy, he was in trouble, then he did not know, then he called people, then people came and helped him, and thus he was out. What a stupid hero you have made. So please make proper heroes, and we will talk about that from tomorrow. Is it clear? So now you will do a small test on story writing. Have you understood any doubts whatsoever? Now, Negative words like confusion, nervous, anger, pain, anything from your side written in the story will be reflection of yours. So if you write that there was a boy who was confused, oh yeah, you are confused. You write there is a boy who was very nervous, oh yes, you are nervous. So why are you writing unnecessary negative words in a story and painting the characters? If you are using them, your painting will show your psychological thought process. So do not use negative words. Even if there is a situation, handle the situation. There are many people in India who are redundant, who are absolutely useless. But trust me, they speak so much, and they're so critical. They even don't spare Modi ji, they don't spare Kejriwal ji, they don't spare anyone. And all they do is sit in front of the TV and talk of nation building. This is not done. For nation building, one has to come out. Criticizing and saying is very easy, one of the easiest things to do. But when it comes to practical application, there are many challenges, many challenges. Providing you regular power, providing you wonderful policies is not easy. Providing you an applicable bureaucracy is not easy. Wake up. Got it? So don't become critical. There are some people who are only critical. Critical people are always crying, number one, and they're blaming others, number two, but doing nothing. Pampered child will always never solve problem, will cry for help. But capable person will solve the problem. Will take it as a challenge. Remember, this is a very important thing. Plus, don't forget the OLQs which you have been having friends and cooperating with them and doing things, planning your things in advance and organizing it properly to get the results. These are all part of your intelligence phenomenon which you should forever possess, not only as an officer to be, as an individual to be as well. So God bless you. Dear students, we will be covering up your thematic apperception test. This is something about your story writing. Why is it called thematic apperception test? Because it's got something to do with your perception also, and it identifies the theme, the kind of theme which you write. Everyone has a theme to observe. If I take you to a cloth store, you will pick a different kind of cloth and somebody may pick a different kind of cloth. Everybody has a thought process of their own. They tend to pick that and reflect that. There are many people who are unfortunately copying the YouTube stories. They are copying from here and there sources, and they are just copying the idea without applying their mind. Unfortunately, this is a risky proposition where they rarely get selected. I won't say they don't get selected, but rarely get selected. Because what happens, that if you are copying someone's thought process or someone's this thing, so it's not originally yours. Now what is originally yours? Your biodata is yours, your set of pattern of thought and personality is yours, and one can easily predict that this kind of personality you possess. And when you talk, that personality also comes out into open. So let's go ahead and understand this. Thematic apperception test, we call it story writing. This is a picture shown to you. Evidently you can see that there is a man shaking hands with the other person, and probably a lot of cadets or people in the uniform or other people standing there. There is a motorcycle standing nearby. You cannot ignore the picture and write a story that once my mother went with father and they had a picnic and then they came back. That means you are not paying attention to what is shown to you. Remember one thing which is very particularly important in this is your, just a sec, is your SOR approach. What do you mean by SOR approach? This is stimulus, which we call stimulus means what is forcing you to think. Object is who? Is you. And R is response which you write of the story. Whenever you will see a picture and then you will respond, it is very evident that the picture and the response in between them is you. Why? Suppose I show you this picture and tell you to write a story, the kind of character you will create, the kind of thought process, the kind of action you will create of this character will be similar to you. There are some people in the present world who want to look good. There are some people who want to look natural. Not too good, not too bad. That means they are not talking bad, but they are not trying to be the best. They are trying to be practical, real and nice. We want them. We don't want you to pick up an artificial face. Let me tell you, many of the boys have complained these days that many a time in a marriage we come across the new beauty parlor culture where suddenly you find that a girl who's sitting in the stage has been over decorated. Unfortunately, it happens in many of the marriages. To the extent that unfortunately people try to change their skin color also just because for the sake of marriage. I don't understand what's wrong with your skin color. You may be dark, but you may be beautiful. You may be fair, so what? You may be in the wheatish, so what? But people often paint themselves to white. A psychological thought process. Similarly, in any story you try to paint yourself as one of the best persons. Unnatural. And what really happens in the next day after the marriage? The person is different. You go down for a Sangeet, then you suddenly say, is this the same girl? Generally girls are decorated, that is why. Even boys are also decorated. Now the trend is picking up that the boys are also going to a beauty parlor. Well, I hope sometimes the whole marriage doesn't get delayed because everybody was in the beauty parlor and the stage was ransacked. But nevertheless, this is part and parcel of day-to-day thought process. So don't try to pretend too much. Try to be yourself. Your biodata is already speaking who you are. Your PIQ is yelling, shouting, loud and clear that it is you. So where is the problem? So all of you please pay attention. Stimulus, what you are shown, the kind of character you create and the kind of action is your thought process. Of course, that the reactions and the result is basically response. But how did you think of that response? Why did you think of that response? What you thought is you. So this story is actually, story writing is not a creative art test. It's not an editorial test. It is a psychological test where you will automatically, it is perceived if you are being truthful. If you are being truthful, I repeat, if you are being truthful, you will automatically think like you are. And also relevantly to the situation. There is a possibility that somebody would say, sir, I have never been in this situation, so how will I think relevantly? Now here intelligence comes into action, where you will think, what will a person do as an officer, or as a cadet officer, or as a cadet? Sometimes you must have seen it in your school. And you would have thought of a good behavior, a good thing, how to complete the responsibility. I am not talking of excellence of any kind, I am talking of your naturality. So this is thematic. Now what do you mean by positive action? See, I always believe that story writing can be taught in different ways, but the first part of story writing is story perception. How you see the picture. Picture perception is the case. So when you see a picture, how do you grade it mentally is what I am trying to teach you by positive action. See, I will give you a very good example. Whenever you are meeting someone, say that is a person of your age, young and fine, your first approach would be to become friendly with that person because it's of your age group. Probably you will come across many points where you can discuss and become friendly with each other. Because they look like one. But if you find a man of middle-aged person and you are a young boy of just 18, 19, then your approach to that person would be like fatherly, uncle, someone senior. You probably will not be discussing unnecessarily out of your own. If he asks you something, you may answer that, that's okay. But your perception has changed the responses and the kind of thought process. Yes or no? Similarly, if you will come across a lady, young lady, you may go with, because of a socio-cultural atmosphere, you may not open up to that extent. But say you were in Europe or America, you would open up a little more because their gender hesitation is less. But in India, we have certain amount of gender reservations, so we tend to open up slowly. So you may go very slowly, approach the person, right? But suppose that lady, that girl is little middle-aged, you naturally will treat her auntie. If similarly that man was old-aged, you would treat him differently as a grandfather, help him sit down, give him some facilities, that's it. Similarly, old lady, you would also do the same. So you know what happens, your perception of the person identifies your response, yes or no. And if your perception is good, your response would also automatically be relevant. And if it is commonsensical and logical, it will be good, yes or no. So the intelligent minds always identifies individuals before reacting to them. And this is the beauty of the brain. It begins from identification. Now somebody who is overconfident or somebody who is underconfident, they will respond differently. Overconfident may probably not waste time in definition and start writing whatever XYZ. Probably in the process will do mistake. Done? Somebody underconfident will not be able to decide what kind of character they have to create, and they will not be able to emit a response. Done? Right? But somebody who is confident as keeping his logical sense alive will be able to identify the candidate, read the stimulus, read the situation and respond accordingly. Am I right? Yes or no? In every story writing, you are supposed to create a hero. Hero doesn't mean a filmy hero, not the Bollywood kind please, and neither the South Indian kinds where you get somebody shooting a bullet and that person runs and catches the bullet by his own finger. I mean, all these kind of crap stories we are not looking at. We are also not looking at Flash and Gordon story or Magic the Mandrake, Mandrake the Magician or Phantom the Ghost, or all these kind of stories, right? Or any kind of things which you must have read in any comics at some point of time. We are looking at your day-to-day life stories, where your day-to-day management, the day-to-day problems have to be written. We don't want you to be imaginative out of the level that your stories reflect only dream, dream, dream and dream. We want you to write something which speaks about your character in the right perspective. And the moment you do that, we're going to identify that, okay, you are on the right track. So here we go. In this picture, you can clearly see that there are two people shaking hands, probably. This bullet, the carrot standing. You can believe it as an NCC situation if you know about NCC. And if you do not know about it, you can also take it as a armed forces or a police contingent. Then accordingly you can create a hero that so and so arrived in the bullet, he met the people, then he briefed the people, then together they did this. Now as a police people, you may do what? You may, with all these number of people, you may do a flag march, or you may try to surround a place to catch somebody with all the intelligence and the planning. You can write it down. So and so was told that this, he called all the people. He told them that they will be making a plan to catch so and so. And they decided that it has to be intelligently done so that everybody is safe. Every father, every officer, every responsible person, whenever he takes any calculation, has the proactive vision to think of safety of their family first, rather than daredevilry. There are many people who are here and many people who would be listening to me inspired by movies where the daredevilry will be something which is fantabulous, which is fantasy. But we don't want you to live in fantasy or in fantabulous condition to the extent that you short-live. We want you to live long, we want you to retire, we want you to settle down. And moment you will stay long, our forces will also feel the strength of your presence. No forces want that their soldiers should be dumped in the very first moment. Is it clear to all of you? So here we go about this, that your planning is there, where you have thought of them, and then they made an action and got the person. Number one. Now here, while imagining the action, you may imagine the situation too complicated, you may imagine the situation relevantly, you may imagine the situation too simple. If you imagine the too simple, that they went, then they found that those two people were just sitting and they caught hold of him and got them, I probably think that your deep thought will not come into expression. But if you write that there was huge problem, this also, that also, and then they did this, I think you are complicating the situation beyond limit, and thus giving an impression that you have a complicated thought process yourself. I mean, every situation generally has one or two challenges, not 10, 20 of them. So if you imagine that there is one or two challenges and they sorted it out, right? Number two, if you want to do march flag, or a flag march, which we call as, where you take the flag and walk over and try to make peace in every other place that you can. If you want to use it as an Independence Day parade, then he set up example, organized them properly, made them practice, and they went on to win the Republic Day parade properly, yes or no? Because in Independence Day we don't have a parade, but in Republic Day we have a parade contingent. You can write that. So this can be one of the stories. Is it clear? Now what do you mean by positive action? In this, there is no pain, there is no negative element. You can take it as a situation which has to be positively dealt with right action, right? That is why it is called positive action. So positive action will identify that, okay, we can create a character like this, because the picture is showing this. But suppose there is another kind of picture, just a second. Now there is another kind of picture, again positive action in this. There is a person speaking and talking to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 people under a tree. You may have played sports and you must have briefed the team, though football team has more players, but maybe one person is late, so they explain, or the captain explained to everyone how they want to play, and you can write a story on that. This gentleman who has been playing cricket can write a story on how they planned. There is a person who has gone to the village and where people can do that. There is a girl who has been given a chance how to train people into Kathak or anything. Then she sat down and then she explained to everyone. See, Kathak is no gender bias. Everybody can learn it. But any dance competition, or maybe may have been a Kathak person, they wanted to choreograph for a group song for Republic Day or Independence Day celebration in the school or college, whatever you want to write. You can write it. Similarly, if you have also done any activity where you have taught your students, you can also write that. There are a number of examples possible for a number of people here. Yes or no? So what is positive action? Because there is nothing negative in this. There is no point to create a negative element. If you think of a negative situation in spite of a positive situation, of a positive possibility, then it means that your thought process is negative. Am I right? So let's go about that. Next. We have another positive thing here. People who are sitting are looking old. You can evidently see farmer kind of person and a person wearing a coat. Now this person can be a doctor because generally he is giving that impression. or he can be a district magistrate, or he can be somebody, that because the dress also defines, your logic also works. By now 16 years plus of age sitting here, you all have a logical bent of mind, who, when, where, yes or no. So you can write that. You can write an engineer, maybe an irrigation engineer, understanding the problems of the farmer and thereafter helping them to do it. Maybe you can write down. You can write down anything you want to write. Again, while writing your action, don't try to have a question mark in it. He's trying to, no trying to. He did it. You getting good? Your language is going to make all the difference. If your confidence went so went, he approached, he did this, and then he convinced them, and then he got it done. Trying is basically lack of confidence when you keep wondering whether it will go right or wrong. But when you are confident and you are doing something logical, there is no reason that you should lack confidence. Is it clear? Okay. We go further. Here are two people, again a positive action which we have, like a marathon race, or maybe a football preparation, or maybe some kind of running, or maybe running up the hill to improve the stamina, which often people do. And this can be for everyone, every sports person. Even for a choreographing person also, to make them physically fit, they made them do the running so that they can have more stamina. This can be anywhere. You getting the point? It can be a health awareness, it can be a social run for creating a social situation, for giving support to corona victims or something or the other, blah blah blah, X, Y. No issues. I've said that. You can always think of a run also. You can think of a game competition. There can be a number of things. So remember, positive action you can create. And then you can create a relevant character who did this and went through it. You getting the point? We are open to analysis of your stories. But general ideas I can give you. I don't want to give you stereotype stories to learn. Because then what will happen? Your mind will get restricted to only those thought processes. So I'm giving you ideas, but I'm also looking forward to your stories coming up to me. Then I'll analyze and give it back to you. This way you will understand how the intricacies of evaluation is done. The prominent part is less taken into consideration. These small slips are taken more into considerations. And it always happens. If you are conscious also, you may write few words which are negative in the slip, and that can speak enormous about your personality and your psychology. Is it clear? Then we come down of this situation. This can be taken as a drowning, but this can also be taken as a champion. Basically, it's coming out as a champion because his hand is here, and no despair. So maybe there is a person who was very good fisherman's son, or a person who was good in swimming. He kept practicing and he became an excellent person. And then he went on to break the record of English Channel or whatever. I think with your energy there should be Josh, but that Josh should be with Hosh. That means if anything which you really want to achieve in your life should be there, evident. But there should be a desire to do it. You shouldn't be latent sitting that somebody is going to kick your butt, then you moving up. No. You should have the inner desire. We call this proactive belief in yourself, right? Proactive thought and a spirit of positivity in you. There should be something which you want to achieve. So this can be there. Is it clear? Then we come down to one more picture. This is of one man, a middle-aged lady, middle-aged person, all of them talking to each other. Providently, everybody will have different perceptions. This is a familial kind of thing, relative function or relative crisis or anything for that matter. I always feel that since if you are a good observer, you will automatically pick it up. You can take it as a festival organization, you can take it as an emergency. But more importantly, if you take it as a good organization of a function, because evidently the lady is reasonably dressed in terms of normal thing. I mean, okay, this can be common also, but then don't try to make a mole or, I mean, mountain out of a mole. You can generally perceive that this looks to be that two people are discussing, lady is also contributing. That lady can be a mother. That gentleman, one of them can be a father, and one of them can be your uncle. You getting the point? As it is a family situation, taking them as a principle and this would be a little far-fetched. But if you feel that it can be also written, then you can make them. The teachers, see, I'm not here to discuss all the possibilities. I'm here to give you an idea so that we can move on faster and you can get it. Run your brain, but be a good listener also. Once I'm giving you an idea and at that point if you're questioning me, it's very clear that you are not listening to what I really want to convey to you. Your horizon of thought is beautiful and it should be. And we want you to practice that horizon of thought to the depth possible, so that you also check what are you thinking and you can open your mind to right expression. See, freedom of expression does not, even in the preamble of our constitution, we check the freedom of expression, which is not hitting at the unity and integrity of the nation and dignity of the individual. You must have read that. In the preamble, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India. Yes or no? We allow expression of belief, faith, everything. But we don't want that expression should be of such category that it hits at unity and integrity of the nation or dignity of the individual. Similarly, when you will practice your thought, you yourself will understand what is beyond and what is right. So I do not want to say that you are not good, you are not right, your idea is not acceptable, but while I am giving you an idea, I want you to understand it properly so that you can develop your thought. And I am open to receiving your stories and checking them and sending it back to you. So that's not a problem. The idea is that your thought process should be relevant, it should be sensible, and you don't have to copy ideas from others. You can also correlate with your experiences of your life. That doesn't mean negative experiences alone, it also means positive experiences. How you tackled negative situations can be written off. But crying a story would be unfortunately wrong, because if you use a picture to cry your thoughts out, what will happen? People will realize that you have been negatively hurt to the extreme level that you would never gain the mental stability to perform. So I hope that none of you have been affected. If you have gone through very deep trauma, we have sympathy for you, but we won't select you. I'm talking about the SSB officers. They would have sympathy for you, but they won't select you. You know what happened when prisoners of war, after that when a soldier returns and he has gone through bad trauma, then armed forces give him compassion, give them adjustment, give them relief in the hospital and sometimes send them home with pension. But they don't keep them active in the working. Now you would call this brutal. It is not. Actually it is due consideration to the gentleman. Because after a deep trauma, that person will not be able to perform the role because has gone through bad trauma. In case it is repairable, wonderful. In case it is not, then they send them home. It's not unkindness, it is sensibility. Similarly, if you write something deep traumatic stories, I'm sure that you are unnecessarily being negative in your approach. So be positive in your approach, write things, and don't try to paint pictures that, sir, I saw in that movie, so I saw this, so I wrote it. Why? Why do you want to over-dramatize? Why do you want to glamorize your hero's action? I would like to give you a hint here. All of you please pay attention. Don't make hero-based story, make action-based story. Now you will say, what do you mean by hero-based story and action? There are some people who emphasize on hero and they over-glamorize the hero and make a story. There are some people who emphasize on the action and via completion of the action they create a hero. So remember, hero is created by the action. Hero is not decorated. I agree that in the movies which you see that hero is decorated. but it is not so. Their real life is this, that anybody who does a good action, which is relevant enough and is worth applaud, that gentleman, that action, the person who's performing the action is considered a hero. So if your action is good, automatically whomever you have created as the doer will become the hero. And the emotion which you will give to that hero, because what are emotions? What are your thought processes? They are softwares. They are softwares of your mind. It reflects about your mind. That's it. Somewhere you have to think on that line. Is it clear or not clear? Understood, not understood? So remember, this is clear. Now this again is a positive action picture which I have defined. I will also talk about the other categories. You will automatically understand why I said positive action. Because there is nothing negative about this picture, right? It's generally a situation, a person saluting a vehicle passing, an officer standing in front of, which always happens in a passing out parade or in a special parade, in Republic Day parade or general's inspection. So you can write that he prepared his inspection well and finally they did this and thus the inspection ended. Yes or no? So a number of stories can come up here, but it cannot be of something far related. It has to be something relevant. Now why do they give you pictures which are sometimes not necessarily everyone's life part? Why? They give you these pictures only to see your strength of thought. That are you able to read the situation and identify the action to be done? Or you think that since I have not done it, I won't be able to do it. There are some people who surrender to situation. There are some people who pause, dream, think and act on the situation. That is the difference. Suppose I send you to Spain suddenly, or to America suddenly, or to any other place where you have never been, maybe an African jungle for that matter. What will happen then? If you have to survive, you will start thinking logically. You will start thinking relevantly. You will use the basic learning which you have picked up and write it still. And you will use it intelligently to write it. Am I right? Yes or no? That is the way an intelligent person will respond. But if somebody is not intelligent, somebody is too weak, then that person will automatically surrender. I do not know. So you got to have that one thought process. Now look at this picture. This looks like a man resting with his hand if you see it properly. There are sometimes people who are in panic disorders, they can't read a picture also. Though they are given 30 seconds to see a picture, they will not be able to understand what is this. Because their systematic thought process is not in alignment, number one. And number two, they fear what they see is right or wrong. So keep your common sense and logical always aligned. In this picture particularly, can you see that a man is resting with a hand? Somebody sleeping here, some head here, some people here. It can be, which you generally see during the games, during the military exercise, during the trekking, during the adventure sports, that you tend to take a brief energizing moment. Yes or no? Is it the stop? No, it can be that so and so. Took a small brief and after that they discussed with a friend and then they went back. Our academy had last year and year before that sponsored a lot of cricket teams and helped them fight. And I believe last time I remember very clearly, LMA Warriors, which we created. And we went for a cricket competition. There we were the underdogs, serious underdogs. But believe me, encouraging those people and standing behind them, giving them the right sense of clapping, giving them the right sense of spirit, though not interfering in their approach, but encouraging them, pushed them to the finalist. Okay, they lost in the finals because there was a prominently too strong a team which they had in comparison to them. But as an underdog, reaching the finals was a good thing. How does that happen? It happens by encouraging father. encouraging brother, encouraging parent, or encouraging spouse. Everything is not certain, but if they are, then automatically one gets the heaven on earth. But if you don't get the right sense of encouragement, everything falls down. Isn't it? So the whole thing is about encouragement. So this then when we can remember that they rested, they then decided strategy and went ahead and played the match. This can be a football match also. It can be a cricket match also. It can be a military exercise also. It can be people preparing for a dramatic representation also. It can be people giving a cultural activity part also, resting for a moment. Whatever you want to write, because it depends on your biodata. You can think as per your biodata. So that is called projective technology. Now here we see a family function. I'm sure you must have enjoyed the camaraderie of a family function. Family feast is a beauty. Trust me, when you become an officer, I'll always advise some time or the other, sit down with the entire team and eat with them. And on a regular basis, you will enjoy the camaraderie which you will enjoy never before. I know unfortunately in our modern society we have stopped thinking of eating together with the family, or basically because of the different challenges of the lifestyle. But eating together and understanding each other is a beautiful exercise. A beautiful exercise to bond, to strengthen, to support, to care, to express, to unite. So you also are having a feast, right? Here everyone is helping each other. You can pick up your gender and you can write a story on this contribution. Today, gender-free participation is there. It's not necessary that the females are a great cook, men are also good cook. Females are a good organizer, men are also good organizers. Everything can be done. So don't you think that, okay, in this role I'm going to just sit at the table and eat. You're a man, I'm going to hog. No. You can do everything in organizing as a young man. You can be identified in a thematic apperception test by being in the picture, something similar, or being out of the picture also. That there was a person who organized everything and you were very happy to see everybody eat together. Can be written. It's not about you being there only. In PPT, they make you tell that you have to think of a central character in the picture. But in other stories, you have the freedom. You can imagine. Is it clear? I hope everything is coming crystal clear to you. Now we come down to another positive action. This is old people sitting and young people sitting together. You must be having father, mother or grandmother, and you must also be remembering your parents, their anniversary time, or maybe some brother, Bobby, lately got married. Anything can be figured out here. We are not looking for a romantic story display, but generally one's person of bond and emotional attachment can be evident. So if you know how healthy it should be, it's fine. Now don't go into intricacies and don't try to make a masala picture out of it. Or deliberately writing about unnecessary things which is unfortunately not required. You should know the decorum, the respect, the honor, the way to approach and to write. Is it clear? This can be very much an anniversary, they plan and then the grandparents also join. Now every picture story does not require that everything has to be used, but a thought process has to be picked up. Very rightfully from the story it is rightly picked up that the parents, they were very happy to see, or maybe they have resolved a small misunderstanding by generally discussion and making them resolve. Yes or no? Anything can be done. But now that resolution doesn't have to be a resolution between India and Pakistan for that matter. Clear or not clear? Just go by that. So these are some of the stories which I have tried to cover. We'll be again taking a small session after this of the different set of thought process. Is it clear? Thank you.